Video, we'll be going over IRS Form 1099-QA, distributions from ABLE accounts. So in 2014, Congress passed a law that allowed certain tax-advantaged accounts to be established on behalf of persons with a qualifying disability. And the intention of these accounts was to provide tax-free distributions from these accounts in order to help offset the cost of certain qualifying expenses. So we're going to go through this tax form because at the end of each year, whenever amounts are distributed from an ABLE account, which is what these accounts are known as, then they must be reported to the IRS. Just because you receive a Form 1099-QA does not necessarily mean that you're going to pay taxes on it, on any of the money that came out of it. However, you should be able to understand this tax form so that you understand better how to report it and how to determine whether or not you have taxable income. So let's start with the left-hand side of the tax form. So you'll see the payer's name and street address, city, state and town, and then also a phone number. So in this case, our fictional company, Acme Able Plans, is established in the same hometown as our hero, John Doe. And they've issued this 1099 QA to report his distributions. So it is important to know that there are 3 copies of these tax forms. The first copy, as usual, goes to the Internal Revenue Service. The second copy goes to the recipient, which is usually the account beneficiary. And then the third version is retained in the payer's records. So let's go back up to the form that John Doe received. Also on the left-hand side of the form would be John Doe's taxpayer ID number. This can be a social security number, can be an individual taxpayer ID number or ITIN. It can be an adoption taxpayer ID number, or it can be an employer ID number. Usually it's going to be a social security number. And then below that would be the recipient's name and address. So this is an opportunity. If you don't have the right address in here, then this is, incorrect information that's also being reported to the IRS. So if you need to update your address, you should do so with your account custodian, and then you should also consider filing Form 8822 with the IRS, which is the change of address form. Below the address information is a space for the account number. This may be blank, and it's only required in the case that for some reason the payer has 2 different account numbers under the same recipient's taxpayer ID number. So, and that would be to issue 2 different forms with 2 different sets of transactions, one for each account. Generally, if this is left blank, you don't need to worry about it. There's not a tax impact. Let's take a look at the right-hand side of the form. So in this case, for 2023, our gross distribution, which is the total amount that came out of the account, was $5,000. Now, the account custodian is responsible for calculating any earnings and breaking out the difference between the earnings on the account and the basis. So the earnings are basically what Acme Able Plans attributed to earnings growth. Otherwise, not the contribution portion, but earnings on top of the contribution. And then the basis would be the rest of the amount. So this isn't made very clear for the recipients in the recipient instructions right here. However, in the form instructions, it does clearly state that box 1 minus box 2 should equal box 3. So those are the instructions for your account custodian. And this is important because, generally speaking, any tax impact would be based on any any amount of the earnings. So if 100% of your gross distribution is covered by the amount of your qualified expenses, then you'll have zero taxable income. But let's say that 50% of your distribution went to qualified expenses, then you would have to calculate taxes on the earnings amount. So, and the form instructions basically force you to prorate the amount of total distribution versus the amount of the distribution that went to qualified expenses. So let's say that you had $2,500 of qualified expenses, but you took $5,000 out. That would basically mean that 50% of your expenses were tax-free based on that amount. So 50% of your earnings would be tax-free, then 50% would be taxable. So you would report any taxable amounts on other income on the other income line on either your Form 1040 or your Form 1040 SR. You may also need to file IRS Form 5329 to calculate any additional taxes that you may be subject to for non-qualified distributions. The rest of these boxes are simply check marks. So it's important to understand which of these there are. So let's say this box is checked, box 4. This simply means that it was transferred from one program to another, from one ABLE account to a different ABLE account for any number of reasons. But generally, if this is a program-to-program transfer, this would also be considered a direct transfer as opposed to a rollover where a beneficiary would take money out of the account, then transfer it to another account within 60 days to keep that from becoming a possibly taxable event. So a program-to-program transfer is very similar to a direct rollover of an IRA or a custodian to custodian, transfer, IRA rollover from your 401k plan, where it never really touches your hands. So that's what box 4 means. Box 5 will be checked if this is an ABLE account that was terminated during the tax year in the calendar year reported. So if this box were checked, then that would mean that the account was closed in 2023. If box 6 is checked, then this means that the recipient, the person who received the funds or the distribution, is not the same person as the designated beneficiary. So the designated beneficiary is the individual named in the account, in the document that created the ABLE account, that's able to receive these funds. If this box is checked, then this means that you're not the designated beneficiary of this ABLE account. You and or the designated beneficiary may be subject to additional taxes and or penalties based on this box 1 distribution. So you would then need to refer to IRS Form 5329 and its separate instructions. So this is all we have for this tax form. It's fairly straightforward. Hope you have a better understanding. Generally, these tax forms are due to recipients by the end of January. So January 31st is the due date to recipients for 1099 forms. If you haven't received your form by early February, you should contact your plan administrator, or you can also contact the IRS for assistance. So that's all we have for this tax form. We've written an article that goes into a little bit more detail, which you can find on our website. Simply go to teachmepersonalfinance.com, type in IRS Form 1099-QA, and you should see the article appear. If you like our articles, please subscribe to our newsletter. If you like our YouTube videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you have any questions, comments, or have ideas for something that you would like covered in a future video, please hit me up in the comments section. One last note, there were a couple of forms that were mentioned in this video. We'll go ahead and put links to those in the show notes as usual. So if you have any questions, please hit me up in the comments section. Thank you very much and have a great day.